I believe this is as far as I came last time, so everything down here we're exploring for the first time. We've only seen it with our eyes. There's also, here's the size of it compared to me. Yeah, it goes back there. I feel a really minuscule breeze, not a whole lot of airflow. I'm hearing a noise over here. This is concrete, all brick, which is, like I said, looking rather precarious.
Back in 2023, I ventured out on a bike ride on the D&H rail trail starting in Simpson, Pennsylvania. Along part of that trail, I arrived at a bridge abutment and learned that a line crossed over the D&H and met up with the O&W Railroad. With my curiosity piqued, I only briefly ventured into the woods and learned that there's more left behind than just abutments. Back in the day, this area was once known as Northwest Junction, and this spur line was responsible for the transportation of coal from the Richmonddale colliery. So what's left today? Well, there's only one way to find out, so grab your hiking shoes and your sense of adventure and come along with me.
Well, it looks like we're approaching a familiar spot where we're going to park and do some exploring. Talk about a gorgeous day for exploring some railroad history. It's around 65 degrees, projected high of 72, clear sunny skies. And a stark contrast from when I was here last time, because last time it was cold, icy, and snowy. Complete opposite today. But I definitely want to find out and satisfy my curiosity of what's still existing of this line that crossed over this rail trail. Before we do start exploring and investigating these areas, I do want to share just a few more details, more than what I shared during the intro of this video. So what we're standing on right here is the D&H rail trail. That direction is Simpson, Pennsylvania. Behind me is Forest City. D&H obviously was the Delaware and Hudson Railroad. Prior to that, it was the Erie Railroad. Lackawanna River is just to my left, and the other side of that is another railroad, which is now a rail trail. It's the O&W, Ontario and Western, as it's more commonly known as. Officially, though, it's the NY-O&W, New York, Ontario, and Western. And these two parallel each other for a bit of time on both sides of the river. And what we're investigating today is this connection spur that brought this line to that line. And when I came here for the first time, I spotted this. The placard was covered in ice, only got a few brief details on it. And I've yet to be up on this side of this abutment wall. I've only seen it from the trail. I've not physically gone up there, but due to a little bit of research I did, I do have a brief idea as to what we can expect up there. Coming to this side though, this abutment wall, which is right here with the placard, we did briefly investigate during my first trip here. There was obviously different conditions, so I didn't spend a whole lot of time there, and not everything was visible, but we did go up there. We did see at least one bridge support column and a few other remains. I believe some ties, maybe something else. I don't remember exactly, but I think we're going to head up there first, cover that area, clear it, make sure we see everything that there is to see on that side, and then we're going to return and come over on this side, and for the first time ever, walk this spur section and see what exactly is back there. I will show this on the screen, but just to read a few things about it, this is views of the O&W Northwest Branch Bridge, and it shows that we are standing right here where that dot is. This bridge abutment was part of a large span that crossed over the D&H, Delaware and Hudson Railroad, and the Lackawanna River. The span was part of the Northwest Branch that connected the O&W, as I mentioned, New York, Ontario, and Western Railway on the east side of the river. The point where it joined the O&W was known as Northwest Junction. There is a sequence of two bridges. Northwest Branch Bridge number 1 crossed the Lackawanna River. There's a deck truss bridge 229 feet in length and 15 feet high. Northwest Branch Bridge number 2 crossed over the Jefferson branch of the Erie Railroad. Later D&H, which I also mentioned, it was a through lattice truss bridge, 120 feet long, 24 feet high. And if you want to read the rest of it, just feel free to pause the video. But at least we have illustration of the bridges, where we are in relation to them, and what they serviced and crossed over back in the day of operation. I have my bike locked up in some trees over there, so it's out of sight, safe and secure. So now we can start exploring this area And as we make our way up here, I may have showed this last time, post sticking out of the ground. And as we rise up, we'll be able to get a clear view at the top of the abutment wall, looking down on the former rail line below us. You see the really large stone blocks here for the construction of the bridge abutment wall. If you couldn't tell, this does cross at an angle, roughly 45 degrees. See the lip right there for the supports of the rails. A little bit of concrete right here. Primarily made out of stone and concrete. And back here on the ground, like we typically find, pieces of coal. I'd be shocked not to find it. That is anthracite coal. You can see it's a clear rail bed, drops off on both sides here. And even some ties still in place. Some of these things I might be seeing for the first time, because as I mentioned, my first time here, it was icy and cold and snowy. Some things may have been buried. Rails are gone, but the ties are not. Some of them are still in their original position. That's good news because that might lead us to finding some hardware, some spikes, some plates. And there is a pretty good depression right here. I don't know if that's a subsidence or what. Continuing further back, we're now going to reach another abutment wall. Lackawanna River is down there. It's actually going around an island right there. Pretty good drop. It's a gallon of oil right there. So there's the support column. There is one right there. There may or may not be another one. We'll get down there and check. But it looks like, again, this would have crossed and then kind of curved to meet up. And that road over there is the trail, which is the O&W, Ontario and Western. So that's pretty much how close they are for this connection spur. Take a walk down closer. I believe this is as far as I came last time, so everything down here we're exploring for the first time. We've only seen it with our eyes. We're not going to see any dates, obviously, because the bridge is gone. I sometimes think and hope that there is dates on the concrete, but that's usually never the case. But based on that information placard, we do have dates and span lengths and everything else, so not a whole lot of mystery there. It's already been answered for us. This one is pretty much solid concrete, not a huge abutment. And then directly in front of us here is the support column. So I could probably do a few different measurements here. I could do the span between the abutment wall and the support. I can also probably get you an approximate length of the support column itself. So I think we'll do that before we proceed on. It's not gonna be the easiest to do because it's so bright. I'm gonna have a hard time seeing the lasers, so it's gonna be not entirely accurate, but I'll do my best. So again, not 100% accurate, but it gives us an estimate. 17 feet, 4 inches. And it's not a flat bottom either, so it's not gonna be precise, but yeah, I'd say it's between 15, 20 feet. Let's see now, we should be able to look at the span between this and that. Okay, so looks like the distance between this wall and that support column is 27 feet, 4 inches. So that's probably as accurate as we're gonna get. And I believe it's just one line came across here. Looks like it's about as wide for only one. So down here we have a few more things going on. Looks like a support right here. And we had yet another type of abutment wall here, right at the edge of the river, but it's not really an abutment wall. because the rail wouldn't be down this low. This is more support, I believe, where the support beams would have been rising up to match up with the height of that. And then would have crossed over the river. And yeah, there is, I'll get down there and show you in a moment, there is a wall over there. And the O&W is right up there. So obviously you can't cross this low. It has to be at elevation with the other line, the O&W, which is on top of that little ridge right there. Here's a good view of things. The abutment wall back there, support column here, and a support base right here. And yeah, actually there is an abutment over there, so I'm going to zoom in to show you. On the bottom, near the edge of the river, there's another wall, just like the one we're standing by. But up above that, there definitely is an abutment up there. If I'm able to, later on, I'll take a ride over there on my bike, give you some shots of that just to show you what it looks like in comparison. Looking at this spot from over there as well. Yeah, it's definitely bigger on this side. It's only because the earth is coming down at a slope. And we're only a few minutes into this and I'm already on the verge of breaking a sweat. That's why I prefer cooler weather. I'm wearing jeans though, just so I don't get scraped up too bad. And in case there's any early ticks out here with the warmer temps. But with that being said though, foliage is not growing in yet, so we still have perfect visibility of things. And from what I could tell, we documented this area the best that we can. Well, here we are standing clear on the other side of the opposite abutment wall. Started over there, and now we can see the view from over here. A couple of little sections of ties here. So far I haven't come across any rails, spikes, or anything related. Now, obviously nature has reclaimed this area significantly. Although it's still a passable, somewhat resembling a rail bed area, it definitely doesn't look like how it once did. I do want to briefly mention too, one of the things I did for research was to basically search this area. And there was a video that popped up of this specific area right here where we are today. And I ended up watching it, learned a few things, and one of the things I learned is that the gentleman who filmed it found out about this area from my original video. He apparently does watch my videos. I don't remember his name, I think it's Kevin. So first off, I do want to thank him for the shout out in his video. And I'm going to link his video down below, his channel. He covers a lot of railroad related things, abutments, rail lines, things similar to this. So if you want to check it out, there will be a link provided. But beyond that, I did talk to a few friends who are knowledgeable in the coal mining business, and also searched multiple different maps and numerous different websites, and that's how I was able to learn basically what I share with you already, and we're going to learn a few more things as we do head further back. But it is pretty featureless here. It is just really an overgrown area. You really can't even tell what you're looking at other than a somewhat cleared area with relatively newer growth trees. So I don't want to bore you to death, but we are going to go a ways back. But right here, actually, before we do that, there is a bit of a junction here. No pun intended. And I think this is going to play a crucial part in what we're exploring today. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this was a line that came down off of a line up there. There is a line up there which we're going to be following in that direction. It's going to go in a big loop. But I believe it came down here, and I think, and I'll show some corresponding maps to kind of confirm this, is that it went back this way to kind of clear the switch, but I don't think it continued in this direction, as far as I'm aware. I may be incorrect. I'm just trying to go off memory of what I looked at prior to coming here, but I think this is what we have going on. I'm pretty certain we're going to end up going up there, and this is going to pretty much dissolve further back. I'm going to confirm that before assuming it. I do like to see it with my own two eyes before I do make any confirmation of something. So I'm going to walk further back. If it looks like it no longer looks like a rail bed, or have evidence like these ties here, then we know that is indeed correct. We're still going, still seeing some evidence here. Now the Lackawanna River is now close to us, where before it was on the other side of the D&H rail trail. Rail trail is right there. That's because there's a bridge up here where the water passed underneath, right over there. So the river is paralleling us for the moment, and I'm still continuing back until I see no more evidence that train tracks came through here. And that over there is rising in elevation. So I'm feeling pretty confident that that is where we need to go, and that's going to be our main focus, where this is going to basically terminate back here. Although it's still relatively cleared out, it is getting narrower, and I'm now no longer seeing any ties. My suspicions seem to be correct. We just came from that direction, and there is nothing back here as far as evidence of rails. Just a big boulder right here, actually a few of them. I haven't seen any ties since the last one that we saw, and it doesn't look like the line would have continued in this direction. So I think what we saw is what we thought it was. It's just basically a section of rail for clearing the switch. Now there is a little pathway going up to this upper level of where we want to be, but I don't want to do that. Actually, yeah, I don't think we need to backtrack. We should be able to climb up right up here, and it's going to change a bit with what we see and where it goes. We want to be up there. So looks like there's like a little series of switchbacks here, and it should take us right to there. Picked up a trail system now. We're actually going away from where we want to go, because I do want to see if this does terminate up here, which I do believe it does. The other thing I looked up too is, although I do have some rail guide images showing the Erie, D&H, and O&W, this particular spur line doesn't show up on there. I don't know if it's just because it was privately used by the colliery, or if it just hasn't been updated yet. But as far as I could tell, where we're walking, rails did exist here, but it's not being identified on the rail guide app. So although that is an incredibly useful app and tool, not everything is on there, including certain spur lines like this. Yeah, so here's the series of switchbacks I was mentioning. This definitely looks like a clear rail line. And there's even some ties here. So we definitely have solid confirmation a rail line did come through here, which was presumably the spur line. From what I remember from watching that video, we could go back this way a distance. I think there's a couple things up here we could check out on our way, and then we're going to hit a dead end of private property, which is not a big issue because we're going to be going back the other way to follow the big loop, which is going to go kind of deeper into the modern wasteland area. And as you can tell, the ground is black and shimmery. No, it's just soft silt and coal material. No ballast here. Really similar to what we've seen walking on the Hayes Creek branch near Whitehaven area. So definitely has resemblance to that. Just came from that direction. You can see we are pretty elevated now. There's a hill here with a nice clearing down there, and almost looks like a little boat launch or beach area for the river. Do see some fire rings as well. Nice secluded area for the most part. But up here, which I already spot them, is evidence of why this rail line was created. The old coal mining days. And we do have not one, but two portals, also known as adits. That is a pretty large opening, and it's backgated. Those are bars put in place usually by DEP to prevent people from going in, but allow it to be a natural habitat for bats and or maybe other animals. I do have my flashlight. We'll peer through there. I do hear water back there, and there's also water running out. And there's also a smaller one up there. And I think up here is where we're going to be kind of turning around, not much further. But I remember seeing this in that gentleman's video, and obviously it piqued my interest. And it's built right into this rock face here. I don't know anything about it as far as dates, how far it goes, which mine company operated on it. But what we do know is that it's right next to a set of rails that came through here. Whether or not they directly service this or not, that I don't know either. But again, just wanted to show you what's along the way. It is pretty much directly along the path that we are following. But we're going to be, like I said, following a greater distance in that area, as it's going to go in a big loop around this, if you want to call it, mountain. But let me take a peek in there, and then I'll bring you over there and show you for yourself. It's a wet environment, I can tell you that. But it's hard to see. It's so bright out here and so dark back there. So I can tell you, before I bring you over, there's a few timbers here on the left-hand side, which are no longer making contact with the roof or the back or the top, however you want to call it. A lot of rock fall, a lot of falling water, but it's actually pretty cavernous. It's definitely tall enough to walk through. It's pretty wide. So maybe with the camera, since it does well in low light, you'll be able to get a glimpse as to what it looks like. But it's also, here's the size of it compared to me. Looks like you could possibly squeeze in there if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. I don't have my gas meter with me. I wouldn't be surprised if people have been back here, especially certain individuals that I do know who do this regularly. But let me bring you over, see for yourself, and then we'll check out the next one. So here's a look at it from the outside. It's bolted right to the rocks. Thick gauge steel. And I'll be able to kind of reach it through. Oh, sorry. So I'm gonna turn on the light, which isn't gonna help a lot because, like I said, this is so far deep and dark, you can't really see a whole lot. But I'm gonna zoom in for you. Let me adjust this. I can actually see more on camera than I can with my own two eyes. So although I am shining the flashlight, this flashlight's not doing anything. I would need one of my more powerful ones, but yeah, it goes back there. I feel a really minuscule breeze, not a whole lot of airflow, which means it could be collapsed back there, or just not a greater distance in temperature to produce airflow. But certainly big enough to stand up in, pretty wide. Some old timbers here, and the little seam of coal over there too. Looks like maybe even some ties on the ground. There may have been rails in here back in the day for mine carts. So leaving that one, water is flowing down. Gonna try to keep my feet dry. Yeah, it's definitely soft material. And yes, there is our secondary one. Wow, this one is plugged up with ice. There's a big ice blockage right in front, or right behind the gate. Wow, that is neat. So unlike the other one, this one has very little room. Right behind the gate, you're gonna see a big ice formation with little craters formed from the water dripping and melting it. And there is a little crawl space here. I'm just gonna shine my light through. Okay, so this one I can see goes back much further, but this is cramped conditions. Looks like this one just followed the vein of coal, which is only a few feet high. So although it does go back, you can't walk through this one. You would be hunched over or crawling on your knees. It doesn't look inviting at all. And like I said, a lot of rock fall right here. A few posts, the stalls. So yeah, I can see the vein of coal. And actually this one may connect with that one because I could see a passage going that direction. It's only maybe 2-3 feet in clearance but I think these are probably connected on the inside. Would make sense since they're so close to each other. So let me bring you over and you can see for yourself. I'm almost certain that these have been explored. So I'm not showing anything that hasn't been seen before, and these are already gated. There's not really any concern either. I'm not the first person to find these. So here is that ice formation. You can see it just built up here. Pretty thick wall of ice. And it has those little craters as water is dripping into them. This is a really wet mine. Again, not a whole lot of airflow, just maybe a 2 mile per hour breeze at most. And the vein of coal is right there behind the ice. Yeah, so there is, looking back, I'm gonna zoom in for you. A lot of dripping water. So it does go straight back. It's fairly wide, but not tall, but extremely wet. And over here, like I said, it looks like it does connect to the other mine. Although I don't see daylight, I'm pretty confident it probably connects somehow. So, I know it's not the best view. It's pretty much all I can give you. This camera is not waterproof. And although I can fit through here, I don't really want to go in there unprepared without a gas meter or my knee pads, which I finally did buy. So, oh, look at, if it's going to come through on camera, it's actually showing like a heart. You see that? Right there, that piece of ice formed the shape of a heart. Pretty neat. Well, I have a bit of an update for you. We just came from that direction. Back there are the mines. Rail line looks like it is continuing here, but up here, well, as you'll see, we can't continue. There are homes back here, and this line basically dissolves into someone's property. Now, the only thing I don't know offhand, which maybe I'll find out during editing, is if the line continued or if it did subsequently stop here and it's just a coincidence that there's people's properties there. So good news is that we found the end of it in this direction. Bad news is we have to backtrack the entire way and then pick up where we left off, going around the loop, which is going to take us basically around this whole mountainside here. So to spare you all of that boring stuff, I'm going to just trek ahead, make some distance, pick up somewhere new, and we'll continue from there and see if we find any more evidence of this spur line that once existed here, but is not showing up on Rail Guide. So we're more or less doing this the old school way of just kind of following it, walking it, seeing what we discover with our own two eyes, not relying so much on technology. Just came from that direction, walked about, I'd say a couple hundred yards. Down to our left is where the spur line would have went and crossed over the bridge down there. So we're up above it and we're on a straight line, which is going to start curving to the left. And I'll kind of show you my approximate position on one of the map images so you have an idea. So I'm not going to show you this entire walk because, as you can see, it's just a trail right now, except for the occasional rail tie. Unfortunately, everything has been removed. There's nothing left behind, unless you were to really scour the area with like a metal detector or something. Pretty much everything is gone. Yeah, so right down there is where the bridge crosses over the D&H. So just to kind of put things into perspective, if the train wanted to cross that bridge, it would have came down here, went down, a little bit down grade, hit that switch, was like a switchback, then came down there over the bridge and across the river. So that's pretty much how it worked, and then obviously in reverse to come in this direction. And I think the only reason this is not showing up on Rail Guide, I think this was a private spur line. It's not the first time I've seen a rail line or a bridge or something not show up on there, but I'd say about 95% of all the rail lines around here are documented on that app. But there are exceptions like this where we clearly know it's a rail line, but it's not showing up, and I think because it was private. You hear the river down there pretty good. Don't mind my sweaty appearance. Definitely getting the heart rate going. And it's warmed up quite a bit. Feels like it's in the low 70s right now, and when I arrived it was 65. I'm hearing a noise over here. Oh, they're frogs. The swampy area. It almost sounds like cackles of a turkey. Yeah, just some frogs. We're actually high above the D&H right now. The rail trail is right down there. And right over there, which is hard to see through the trees, that's the other side of the rail line that we already checked out. The support column is back there, so we're up above and kind of adjacent to it. And honestly, if I knew this section was going to be as cleared out as it is, I probably would have brought my bike up here. I'd cover a lot more ground a lot faster. I thought for the most part it was all grown in like we saw when we first started, but this is a clearly used trail. But on foot, we're going at a slower pace, getting some better exercise, have a better chance of finding something since I'm going slower and not just kind of zooming by here. So it's not a bad thing, but looks like it could have been an option if I D&H trails right down there, and we kind of came around the bend of the turn, starting to go around the other side now, which is going to go away from the D&H. No telegraph poles, no insulators, no nothing, just silty coal material and the clear evidence that this is a rail bed. All right, so we straightened out back here. Looks like there's like a little S curve. I'm hopeful that we're gonna find something rather than just going for a nature walk. I thought my eyes were playing tricks with me. I was looking off to the right. I hear the river, but I saw a big black area. I thought it was a lake or body of water. No, that's, I believe, part of the modern wasteland, which is back there. So once again, I'll show you my position and you'll be able to see that that's where it is in relation to us. This is an excellent trail. Easily could ride a bike back here, whether it's a traditional bike or an e-bike. I definitely could have covered a lot more ground a lot faster, but like I said, higher likelihood of missing something. But I think I might return in the future just to ride this, because it's a different trail to ride, and it's right off the D&H. And now it's getting really quiet back here. We're away from the water, the landscape's changing, and I'll stop for a moment. You can hear the difference in the ambient sound. It's pretty quiet. Finally, a significant change. That's the direction we just came from. And as I pan over, you're going to see we now have a few options, and the landscape has changed yet again. That barren landscape of the modern wasteland is basically right in front of us here. So there is a trail going off in that direction, which I think would take you down to that big open area that we saw from higher up on the trail. I don't think we need to go that way or want to go that way. Looks like the line would have continued this way. Unless that was maybe like a switch here or another switchback, possibly. But since this keeps going, I'm going to keep going. And we're just going to be paralleling now this embankment of the coal material. So as of right here, I don't know if we're still on the rail line. I want to presume that we are, but I don't have solid confirmation. I also have zero service on my phone, so I can't even show my location on any of the maps. But I did spot something up on top of this hill as I was walking in. It looks like a building. I don't know if it's someone's private building or if it's something related to the old mining days. And this material, wow, it's really soft. It's like a sponge. Holy crap. Like sinking right into it. It's pretty damp underneath, that's why. I get this in drier stuff. I'm gonna press ahead a bit further up here. If I don't sink in like quicksand, I wanna see what's up here, if anything. It may just be a trail system. It may terminate. It may lead to something else. So let me get up ahead, scout it out, and then we know if we should continue or turn around and maybe investigate what that building is. Stopped recording. 5 seconds later, came upon I think a telegraph pole. Maybe, maybe not. It has the holes in it, but I don't see any of the posts coming out where the insulators would have screwed onto it. But it looks like it could have been one. It's just laying there. Yeah, I don't think the line came back here this far. And if it did, looks like the landscape has been changed and altered. It does, though, look like an area I may want to explore in the future, because it looks like maybe a trail going up that way under some power lines. Obviously, there's a big modern wasteland here, which is always fun to ride on. There's some ties sticking out right here. And it looks like they're just kind of pushed here. So that leads me to believe that this area has been worked or altered. And it doesn't look like how it once did when trains came through here. Yeah, I think I need to come back in the future with an e-bike and explore this area. It's too vast to explore it on foot, especially in that direction. Oh, there's something up here. It's definitely not someone's house or building. It's something, I think, mine related. It's hiding in the trees right up here. I'm glad we kept going, but we probably would have found it either way if I backtracked and went up earlier to what I thought I saw. There is ruins. And they're definitely old ruins. And they're made primarily out of stone. I see some brick walls as well. But I do know there's more than just this. On the other side, I think there's some type of building. I saw a peak of a roof. This may have been, or it could be remnants of the colliery breaker site. There's a brick wall. It looks like maybe an opening on the other side of it. And someone's been here. They tagged themselves in, looks like 2015. Some huge white birch trees. I'm gonna walk over there, just briefly scout it out, explore it, see if we can go anywhere over there. You also get a good size perspective in relation to me, and then we'll pick one direction to go, either it's left or right, and work our way back there. Look at the size of this tree. I guess this makes me a tree hugger. I think that's white birch. It's huge though, really thick diameter. So here's a stone wall compared to me. As they get stuck on a tree. It's all primarily stone. And this brick section back here. Okay, so there's an opening here. It's plugged up, but there's a steel plate there. And yep, it's open on the other side. We could get to it on the other side. This might be a boiler house. Tree overhang too. This I had no idea was here. I only knew that we were going to be approaching the modern wasteland area. And when you're in those areas, it's always, I'd say a 50-50 chance you're going to find something. And in this case we did. So it started off as an abandoned railroad spur exploration. It's turning into the exploration of mining ruins. That's a win-win in my book. And I've said multiple times that mining and railroads go hand in hand, especially here in Pennsylvania. So no surprise that we're seeing 2 for 1 today. Yes, that's where we just were down there. Topside view. It's more like a fortress with the protection wall there. I have to watch my footing as this could collapse and give way because it's hollow beneath us. Oh yeah, there's the building. Look at the nature's carpet too. Super plush. You can see it's a channel going right through. It's built up of material. Looks like it would have been deeper and more exposed at one time. And although this is here, it's hollow underneath this, which I'm going to show you. So that kind of dead ends right there with the wall. A little bit of a drop off. And there is the underneath area. So I think we could probably get down right here. Hopefully, safely. Let me see if there's another alternative way. I mean, there is, but I think it'd be better to go down here. But there's also like some piping down there too. So let me get down here and then we'll check that out. So up here is similar to what's behind me. And there's a chute right there. A metal chute and a pipe. Well, this is brick lined, concrete underneath. This is really similar to the findings that I found on a recent Google Maps find, where I found ruins extremely similar to this. Let's see, does this look stable? Yes and no. So there's the chute. This is a concrete room, brick lined roof, if you want to call it that. Looks like 1, 2, 3, at least 4 to 5 layers of bricks and a steel plate right there. Multiple steel plates and some ties. Yes, I've seen areas like this. One place that comes to mind from earlier this year is the Exeter Colliery in Luzerne County. And like I said, the Google Maps find, which I did recently, I found colliery ruins, specifically a boiler house, engine house, and a shop area. And there were a lot of findings like this at both locations with these little, I guess you want to call them basements or rooms, little subterranean areas. So I'm going to get down in there, just kind of take a peek, and it'll give you a good sense of scale as well. But I don't want to hang around too long. It does look not the sturdiest. There's obviously a lot of buildup down there. But I at least want to take a look at that chute and just kind of, I guess, see it in closer detail. I didn't even know there's a chute right here. It's plugged up. So there's one coming out here. Same thing as this one here. And did it go in? Gotta unlock the light here. Yeah, so this is a flap or a door. Would have been attached right up here, probably with a handle to raise and lower. and allowed material to come into here. So the other side of that is what I was showing you earlier, saying, you know, you'll see the back side of it. That's what it is. The overhanging tree root system is over there. This is concrete, all brick, which is, like I said, looking rather precarious. There we go. So we know it's metal or steel. So it makes me wonder what's behind here, or what they were dropping down into here. Was it feeding coal for like the furnace or the boiler house? Or was it like ash? But it appears that someone had to be down here to control this. There was definitely a handle down here to raise and lower. And you guys are obviously built up on an embankment that would have went clear through. And I'm not even standing on the true bottom, so it could be a few feet deeper here. So that's where we just came from. Other side here, again, more brickwork, concrete, and another chute with a wall right next to it. Obviously the overhanging part is gone. I think this would have been enclosed at one time. If I'm not mistaken, this whole exposed area I think was covered over. And there's probably more chutes underneath here as well. This is all brick lined, all concrete, and it looks like it either just collapsed in or was removed, but all signs are pointing that this was one enclosed room. And now it's just open and exposed and built up by sediment. In case you're curious, here's the other side of the wall, nothing over here. We're gonna get to that building. And here's the opposite view of where we just were. Well, we found 3. Oh, there's a 4th one right there. There's at least 4 chutes. Probably 5 or 6 total. See, it's a combination of concrete, stone, and brick. Another pipe like we saw on the inside there by that chute. Here's a farther away view. Right in front of us, like I said, it's just more mounds, more stonework of walls. Most likely things were mounted here, machinery or equipment. That's the most intact part there, except for behind us. We do have a full-fledged structure and even some connections there on the outside. Looks like it's primarily made out of concrete. Roof looks to be wooden and missing, and I'm about 99% certain we could probably get inside. Yep, it appears we have open door, open window policy. Oh, we have half a roof, and it's not exactly wood. I was mistaken. Well, maybe part of it was. It's like somebody's been hitting the bush light and the twisted T. And there's been some fires in here as well. There's a big opening on the other side. We'll go over there, head inside, and see if we can find any clues as to its former use. So it looks like there was direct access coming to this. Loops around. There's the ruins. Here's the building. It appears to be nothing more than like a shop. A maintenance building, possibly. Looks like a bay door would have been here, possibly a sliding door. Has metal framing roof with corrugated metal or tin. And the other side, I did see some wood planks. It is completely gutted. Looks like a concrete floor. So there's the framing, a few wooden planks. So wood on this side, tin metal on this side, corrugated. Multiple fires, I can still smell it actually. Tire fires. It's all the steel belts from inside the tire. Burned for a long time, but smoky and really polluted. It's a bracket right there. Walls were covered in soot. So there's the inside bracketing for what we saw on the outside. That's fixated through the wall. Almost looks like tiny conduit pipes. Obviously this has been chiseled away. Most likely would have been straight down. And it looks like it could have been a sliding door. There is a notch here, or a channel, where it could have slid and like a protrusion on the door would have went into here. I don't see anything showing a slide up there. It could have been altered over time. I don't see any bracketing on the wall either for like a barn door to slide either. So I could be incorrect, but I mean, that's how it appears. I don't see a track system. So maybe I'm incorrect. I don't think it would have had a garage door, but I would assume they would want to seal this up. Just two windows. It almost looks like a chimney of sorts. Like it's protruding out. I don't think there's a basement to this. I didn't see anything. And it doesn't go up through the outside, but maybe it's just structural support. Yeah, that's what it is. It's on both sides of it. It did look like a chimney at first, but it is just support. And since we're here, well, let's get some measurements. We'll get an idea how big this building is. You know, with these windows, I'm looking now, have the same notch. There's wood inside of there. So wood was filling up this notch inside of here. So I don't think a door with like a tongue sticking out went into it. I think it was filled up with wood. So maybe that helps you with what kind of door would have been here. So we just want to do across both ways. So I'm not going to do this part here. We'll do right here. And there's no obstructions. It's going to do from the base of this. So we'll just hit it. 18 feet, 9 inches. 15 feet, 4 inches. So what do we say? 15. Yeah, so 15.4 by 18.9. So 15 by 18 building. I could probably do, I could probably do the height of it. This will work in here because I could actually see the laser. So first reading down bottom, right there, and right there. 13 feet, 10 inches from the floor to the peak of the roof. So we now have a pretty accurate size of the building. Well, I don't think there's anything else here to really see as far as this building goes. I'm going to walk this road back behind you guys just to see if it leads to anything else. I did want to make mention of something recently too. On a recent video, there was someone commented saying it looks like I put on some weight. I definitely did, and it's for two reasons. Number one, over the winter, I don't go out nearly as much as I would in the summer. I'm not riding my e-bike. I'm not going out as often due to the winter temps and conditions. Number two, for primarily almost the entire month of December into January, I did have pneumonia. I wasn't going out nearly anywhere. If I was, it was really limited because I was getting really exhausted, really winded, so I definitely put on some pounds from last summer. I'd say I'm about 15, 20 pounds more than I was last summer. But I'm not really worried about that because now that we're getting into warmer temperatures, I can get back on the e-bike, start doing some more adventures. And if you've watched my recent video, I documented the Hayes Creek Branch. That was a 1 hour, 40-minute video. That was nearly a 6-hour adventure for me. Crossing the frozen river, well, it felt like it was frozen, climbing what I called Hell Mountain, and walked multiple miles of the old rail line. So I'm definitely getting cardio, getting exercise, getting fresh air. I still do get winded from time to time, not nearly as much as I was back in, say, January and December. So I do have the dad bod, as my friend Matt PG likes to call it, but I guarantee in about a month or two, I will be down closer to where I was last summer. So I'm not trying to hide it, just being honest with you. I am a little bit heavier. I'm still about 30 pounds less than what I was prior to getting COVID, where I was around 275 then. I used to fluctuate between 265, 275. I lost a lot of weight from both COVID and just changing my diet, watching what I eat, eating smaller portions, making life changes to have a healthier lifestyle. And for the most part, I've been pretty much maintaining that weight, getting down under 230, under 220. Now I'm closer to 240, but again, that's the reason why. Winter plus pneumonia, definitely packed on a few pounds, but I'm out here getting exercise on a beautiful day, putting in at least, I would say, 2 miles of exercise today, if not more. So just wanted to share that with you, let you know where I'm coming from. If you do notice a difference, that's why. Based on what you've seen and the size of the building, what do you think it was used for? I'm thinking of some type of shop. Probably used to maybe maintain or work on the equipment that was situated next to it. I'm thinking that was some type of maybe engine house or boiler house. So we're walking on the road that's leading to the building. It does go down to the left. That would bring us back down to the rail line that we walked in on. And looks like to the right here, it brings us out to the clearing. So as far as I could tell, there's nothing else out this way in this direction. If anything, it would be behind me in the modern wasteland. But as I said, I would need an e-bike for that. And my e-bike is locked up all the way back by the abutment wall, so I have to walk back and get it. Not going to do it today, but like I said, if you do want to see me return this summer to explore this wasteland in more detail, by all means, your feedback will determine that. Looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting area to not only ride, but to search out and see if we can find more things like this, just kind of hiding back here. And again, we wouldn't have found this if we weren't tracing the old rail line spur line. No trains coming, we're clear. And just like that, we're back where we started at the abutment walls. A couple things to mention. Number one is that if I do end up crossing over on my bike to the O&W side to show you that abutment wall, that footage will play directly after this clip here. But secondly, more importantly, this was more than we anticipated, more than we expected. And that's never a bad thing. We knew partially what to expect, especially on this side, since I did document it partially when I first stumbled upon it. This side, today's my first time stepping foot on it, although I did watch that gentleman's video and had a brief idea, but he didn't go as far as we went today. I knew the mines were there, got to see them up close and personal, which were pretty impressive. Walked the line as far as we could until it terminated, and then walked it around, which was basically right above this trail here, to the modern wasteland where we stumbled upon mining ruins, a building, and what I presume to be a boiler house or engine house. I don't have any information about that site because I didn't even know it was out there. We stumbled upon it accidentally by following the old abandoned spur line. Like I said, if it wasn't for following that, never would have found that, at least not today. So, any of you watching, if you are familiar with what that area is, as far as company name, operating dates, or what those particular buildings were or ruins that we found, please share it down below. But this one did not disappoint. Unfortunately, to be expected, there's no little artifacts. Like there's no rails, a few ties, but there's no spikes, nails, J-hooks, plates, nothing. No signals, no posts. Spur lines don't typically have that. We're not near a crossing either, so it's understandable that we didn't find any ruins. I shouldn't say ruins, but like artifacts or say keepsakes like a rail spike. But they really cleared out the area pretty well. All we could tell is that it's a rail bed, a few ties, and we know why it was created, who it serviced, and why. And honestly, if it wasn't for that placard there as well, we wouldn't know a whole lot about this place or this particular spur line because, again, it doesn't show up on the Rail Guide app, and I wouldn't have known the name of it if it wasn't for that sign, that placard. So that was incredibly helpful, as well as the gentleman's video, and then doing research myself, able to share with you what I did both in the beginning of the video and throughout the video. I still think it was a privatized connection spur that does not show up on the Rail Guide app. So thankfully, we had all of our questions answered for the most part, and we're able to document more abandoned railroad history here in Northeast Pennsylvania and mining history with some mine portals and some mining ruins of some buildings and some foundations. So that was a huge win in my book. As to when we started today, it was about 11:30. It's 2:36, so 3 hours. It's kind of minuscule compared to some of my recent adventures. And like I said, a gorgeous day. I did break out into a good sweat. I could feel it on my back, but otherwise, I'm happy with what we accomplished. I'm thankful for you coming along, and I'm losing my voice. Without a doubt, I definitely want to explore more of the area, but again, if it's on video or not, depends on your feedback. So if you want to see more of that wasteland area, let me know. I want to explore it regardless. If I do it on video, it's going to be based on what you tell me down below. So otherwise, thanks so much for coming along. Thanks for watching. Greatly appreciate your support. And if you want to see more videos related to this, check the description down below. Otherwise, I'm going to take my dad bod out of here, get some lunch, and start editing this video. So take care. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. As promised, I'm going to show you the abutment wall on the O&W side. This is the O&W, New York, Ontario, and Western, which is now a rail trail. And I have to say, in comparison to the D&H, this trail is not as good. It's really bumpy, a lot of exposed rocks, not nearly as well maintained, but a bit wider, and it does allow you to see different parts of the area here. Now, the one thing I could point out is that you can tell this is pretty wide here. That's because there would have been a switch coming off up in that direction, coming off to the right to cross the bridge. So this is the spur line that we documented, and we're now just seeing it on the O&W side. So the abutment wall is here. The lip still has a big tie on it. We're up above the Lackawanna River now, on the opposite end, obviously. And again, it crossed at an angle. So this is going in that direction to meet up with the O&W. And if we could possibly see, down there is another support wall, similar to what we saw on the other side over there when we were down near the river's edge. So we're basically seeing both views of it. We were over there looking this way, now we're over here looking over there, and that pretty much covers this privatized abandoned connection spur. Can't even find like a single spike or nothing. Like there's a nail. Now, apparently on this trail you can ride ATVs. Yeah, it looks like a letter G on this nail. That's the only thing I see. Obviously the rails wouldn't be right here, so there's no spikes. They would have been up level to clear the wall there.